going on, everybody? Welcome to there's a ghost in here already. Great. Welcome to Branded Rebel Garage. As you can tell, I said Rebel for just a second. This is my partner in crime and does all the math work and whatnot. I just drive and he makes me fast, but I don't give him any credit.
I took algebra twice.
Because he hates himself. So, what you're going to see on this channel, like I said in the intro video, but now, I have the not-so-square guy with me, unlike this guy. You're going to see a whole bunch of builds, hopefully, a whole bunch of projects that probably aren't going to be finished, some racing, possibly some testing, broken shit, stuff that we shouldn't have got ourselves into to begin with, and overall, just anything car-related. Might have one or two things that don't even pertain to any of this at all, but here we are. Is there anything you'd like to say, my good sir?
No.
He's tired as hell. I woke him up from his nap.
I'm pretty tired.
What we got here?
Cleaning up some headers.
What better way to start everything? Got a brand new machine motor and whatnot, and grinding away at the headers right on top of it.
Yep.
Attaboy.
Put a hole in the bag and everything.
Yep. It's okay. We got a little lacquer thinner, cleaned it anyway. So these headers, they were what were they, inch and
5/8, I think.
yeah, inch and 5/8 on the primaries.
That's what we measured.
That didn't even look like 3-inch.
That's
I thought-
it might be, I don't know.
I thought they were 3-inch. I don't know where they are. Yeah, 3.
Okay.
Guess I'll let
We got
everybody
3-inch.
see that. So we got 3-inch.
How often do you see inch and 5/8 or 3-inch collectors?
Honestly, quite a bit. I figured that was gonna be like 2.5 or some weird number from back in the day.
It's not down to 2.5, I think down there. It's not 3-inch all the way through.
I doubt it. See how small that tube was on your side pipe?
Yeah.
That sounded a hell of a lot different if it was a 3-inch.
It needs to be 3-inch now.
So what we have here, obviously this is a rinse and repeat from our TikTok videos and lives. This is the 70s Le Mans. We have yet to pick out a name. It changes names from every single week. I think
It always comes up with something different.
it was Hoopy, Green Bean,
Hulk.
the Hulk. Yeah, we can't take the Hulk. Green Giant was one of them.
I think if it was going to be the Hulk, it'd be like that dude's minivan in Tokyo Drift. Mohawk. And the fist punched through the door and stuff.
The Nickel Pickle.
The nickel.
Basically, this is our only street and strip car we have in here. We'll go over a little bit of a build specs here towards the end of the video. Just gonna do a little small videos here and there for this first one, just show you what we're kind of getting ourselves into. By the way, you can use that trash can as a instead of the brand new motor.
Yeah. I already put a couple of ribs in it, looks like. Oh, yep, throw it straight in the motor.
Yep.
Here, I'll just turn the bag.
Turn the motor. This is not how we normally do things. We're just trying to make ourselves not look as Riri on the camera.
Fixed.
Yep, done. It didn't even happen.
Somehow ripping the other side of the bag.
That probably-
Touch that side.
That was Mom's fault. And we have over here, my car, unfortunately, still tore apart. Gonna be that way for a minute. His is gonna get done way before mine. 64 Chevelle. If you know it, you know it in Kansas City. If you don't know it in Kansas City, what rock you've been living under. We got our friend of ours, Frank's car. It's a 68 Camaro. Big block 462. We'll get into more details on that on later videos. Same thing with Mom's car up on top. This is a 67 Chevelle. It's a 300 Deluxe Post car. Sorry about the mess over there. I'm working on it as we go. I just started getting everything looking nice, and then I tore everything up again. That's usually how the cookie crumbles around here.
That's how it
Yes. We're going to get copyright and for curse words. Off to a good start.
Jim Carrey's going to come right after us.
Yep. With his little hedgehog.
Steering's a little loose.
His little hedgehog and his little kid. Most of this stuff we're not going to be using. Some of it we are going to be using. This is mainly for the 327. Colin, I'll let you go ahead and tell me a little bit about the, again, for the update of time.
Oh, yeah.
At least now they can rewind it and listen to it again.
Yeah, they can just back up. We could also put motor specs in the caption and stuff like that too if people want to read.
Let's go ahead and peel her off. Screw it.
Start with the motor.
Get that rust all over my car just now.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's a 406 bore. It's a 327 small journal. We decked it down to 9 inches, so with our standard size rod, 5.7 inch, and the pistons we're using will get 0 deck. We went through and did oil modifications, kind of just for drain back. We had a tray in here before when I got the car.
It is now in the scrap pile.
Yeah, it wasn't letting motor or oil back down to the pan. We had Bob, our engine builder, or not engine builder, we're the engine builders.
Our machinist.
Machine guy. We had some loose main caps in the registers, particularly I think it was 3 and 4 were both pretty loose. We had him tighten up our registers, line board it, studded it, probably not in that particular order.
Whatever sounds good.
We got 1/2 inch studs in here instead of the 7/16 studs that would have been in this engine. We got to put a couple of freeze plugs back in, a low filter adapter. We've got Chase and his mom have both got a crankshaft. We're not sure which one we're going to use yet. My crankshaft was still decent. It just already had 2020 on the bearings. It had already been cut 20 thousandths on both sides on the rods and the mains, so we didn't feel comfortable using that again for what I plan on doing to it. So
chances are it might need to be turned down to 30 as far as we know.
yeah, and they make bearings down to 30, but I didn't want to do that. What we've got here is just a lot of stuff that came out of it. When I got the car, it had these 40 over old TRW forged domes, you know, big 564 rings on them. Pretty old. This is actually an OEM replacement for like 64 Corvette if you had a bigger bore.
If anybody is in the market for a set of old used pistons that's nothing's broke or wrong with them,
Yeah.
we'll quote you.
Yeah. Probably let them go pretty cheap plus shipping. We scored a gear drive for it from a friend. I had a fuel pump there for a while. We also scored some free Speedmaster head studs.
Speedmaster.
Yeah, it's old Speedmaster. Set of gaskets we're not going to use in case anybody around Kansas City area needs some. They're 406 bore, but they're 27 or 27 thousandths, so they're a little thin if we're going to be 0 deck. Bring our compression up too high, we wouldn't have very good quench, or actually it'd be really too good, too tight. Have to worry about piston the valve clearance in. Chase gave me a timing cover.
I gave you one to replace.
Yeah, gave me one to replace. Here's all the valve covers.
Also, before I forget, there is a swap meet coming up here in the next month or two, so maybe there.
Yeah. So this engine, when I got it with the car, it had a solid lifter camshaft in it. And I had one valve. We don't have the heads here. They're at my house now. But I had one valve that made a lot of noise. It was exhaust valve on number 3, I think, or maybe a 6. Not 6. 5.
One of those.
5. Yeah. I think it was 5. And it was loose, so I tightened it up. But I was like, you know, I don't know what the lash is supposed to be on this camshaft. I don't know what camshaft this is. So all I did was match it up to the rest of them. And we had a pretty terrible oil leak.
Couple of them.
Yeah. Between the front pan seal, basically, the timing cover was missing, basically. And the timing cover that was on it, seal wasn't doing much on the crank seal.
It was literally that timing cover that you had was the old style, like really thin sheet metal one, and then it had an actual like spacer plate behind it just to make up for the thickness.
Yeah. The pan had a like weld your own sump on type deal on it, and they had obviously missed some spots, or it cracked in a couple spots too. And Chase worked that out and got that welded back up, and
I worked the hell out of it.
so far it doesn't leak on the bench, so we're going to put it back on and spending $300-400 on a pan. And still debating on using that pump again. The
It's a high volume, high pressure pump, by the way. Just keep that in mind, guys.
yeah. So I mean, really, the plan is put the right heads on it with the camshaft we got. Like, we should be good for 7,500, 8,000 RPMs. Really, I think the weakest point is just going to be, like you said, with the main webs.
It's mainly
Especially
here
where they're
and
thin.
yeah, mainly it's this one. Usually back in the old days when Dad was running, they would take an ass whooping right here and here. He dumped the clutch against somebody he was racing. I'll go into details for you later when I get it all straightened out with Daryl. But the bike that he was running hit the paint stripe, kind of got sideways on him, and Dad beat him. Said let's rerun it. I think it was against Granger. I think that was the guy's name. But they swap lanes. Dad hits the paint stripe, taxed the motor out pretty much back then. You know, it went to like 11 grand or whatever. Ran him down. I think Granger might have got him, or can't remember, but lost oil pressure. Limps at home, and he's checking over everything. And I think Lindsay was the guy that came over. Dad's on the phone. He's getting a call out, kind of sort of worked out, or details about next weekend's meetup. He's running anybody over the phone, if I remember right. And he thinks he sees a crack along here, and he says, "Larry, what's this?" And he pokes it, and the whole entire register just falls out and thumps on the floor. And he says, "I'll call you back." Click. What the fuck happened? And he says, like, "Larry, I'm so sorry. You know." But yeah, the 2-bolt main, unfortunately, this is a small journal also. I don't remember if you said that or not, but it's a little guy. Unfortunately, they are known. This is the weak point, is the mains, or the main webs. You can get around that kind of if you had a full girdle that went down the whole. It ties all the main caps and all the main webs together essentially. But
Best we can do right now is the 1/2-inch studs. So
a lot bigger than what they were before.
yeah.
Basically, aside from what the thumbnail said and the video, what it said, this is going to be, what are you trying to shoot for? 450, 500 on motor?
I think depending on the heads we use, we could end up, I mean, at the wheels, we'll probably end up a little over 400 just on motor through that transmission. You know, if we had a rollarized, you know, turbo 400 or even a rollarized turbo 350, it'd probably make a little bit more wheel horsepower. But I plan to spray the guts out of it.
All 300 horse on the first kit.
Sure, whatever. Whatever it takes.
We got the carburetor that he's going to be using. It looks like it's going to be a spec built carb. Are you still going that route, or just still looking around?
Reading I did. I'm on a couple of like carbureted LS pages, and I've got some LS stuff. But they were all recommending this company, you know, ATM Carbs, and I got to doing some reading, and it looks like Quick Fuel sold to Holley, you know, X amount of years ago. But the people that started Quick Fuel, I think their kids started their own carburetor thing, and that is what is ATM Carbs now. And I've always really liked what they put out, even before they sold to Holley. So, and I think that's after they sold to Holley, but they discontinued that carburetor specifically. That was just going to be for my Ford FE.
It's vacuum secondary style. Wasn't really a race carburetor.
Yeah.
Still trying to be street and strip friendly with the carburetor, but still something that, hey, if we're pulling up to the meat spot, you know.
They recommended, for the details that I gave them, that we get an 850 with annular boosters, which will help in more of the lower speed, lower vacuum, because we got a bigger camshaft. We're only getting 6-7 inches of vacuum. Even when you drop the gear, you get about 4. So, but that could have been timing too, you know, like it could have probably used some more initial timing.
And there's a whole bunch of stuff messed up with this thing when you first brought it in too.
And I got to thinking last night, in my distributor, I put the lightest springs that came with the MSD thing, and I was like, you know, I did some reading, and people actually tested when the advance starts on those and when it stops. And the lightest springs start advancing at 800 RPM. And if we're idling at 900 or 1,000,
it's already full.
It's already started to move. But you drop it in gear, and the RPM drops, you lose your vacuum or that timing advance you just had. So that's why it gets so weird when we drop it in gear.
So I need to put the heavier springs in it?
I need to put at least one heavier spring in it to slow it down just a little bit. But that should help it idle a lot, because that's why we're getting such fluctuating like idle. And that's probably, well, also the float levels were fluctuating too. They were up and down, up and down.
I remember
There's
you fighting
probably
that.
a bunch of junk in the carburetor now.
So I remember you fighting that first week or two, trying to get it to be happy.
Yeah. Well, we didn't know what camshaft was in it. I mean, realistically, like if, I've been doing a lot more reading on other carburetors today, but we just got our idle speed screw here, like most Hollies do, but the new Ultra XPs or whatever, they got an idle bypass, and that new Edelbrock that came out, the VRS, that looks just like a Holly. It's got anything bigger than a 650, and the Edelbrocks is annular boosters already, and they sell an 850 with annular boosters. But it's got an idle bypass, and it's on the side. So all it does is it literally opens up little slots here in the throttle bores, lets extra air in there without changing your, I don't know.
Remember, there's still fuel in there.
Yeah. So in here, a lot of carburetor guys know this, but there's little transfer slots in there. And realistically, we only want like a little bit of that showing. And that's actually a pretty significant amount right there. So out of total, they really only want it to be a square showing. Well, this is what it wanted to idle. So the other fix for that is we could change the air bleeds, especially on this side. The idle air bleeds or the idle fuel restriction in here, make it smaller so it's less fuel at idle.
Yeah.
But bigger cam wants more fuel usually at idle. So, but the idle bypass, you can set this to the proper on the transition slot, and then you add air just through that idle bypass. So you get a little bit more control over your idle without changing all these different circuits. Because when you start changing air bleeds, it starts changing when the circuit starts working. So I think if you go smaller on the air bleed, it is richer, I think, because less air coming in.
That make it richer. Just sitting there, then you open it up, and then it give you more air.
Yeah. And when you do that, then it also changes when it comes off too. Basically, it makes it later. So it's
something they're trying to take away on new carburetors. They're trying to take away things that would affect it when it comes time for performance.
Yeah,
a lot
you
of
get
guys,
a little bit more tuning to it.
Because a lot of guys leave on foot brake or hell even on trans brake when you put it to the put it to it.
The thing about the Holley Ultra XPs is they don't have any vacuum ports on them at all. So if you wanted to run, I think that intake's got the brake booster off the intake.
I can't remember.
Yeah, the brake booster's on the intake. Which I'm not tripping about because we already talked about going to manual brakes. But like as far as like vacuum advance, which is really handy to have as a street car, get a little bit more fuel economy that way. A lot of people plug off power valves, but then you run rich all the time, so you don't get as much tuning with it. The other thing I noticed about the Edelbrock VRSs is they run a power valve front and back. So they use a whole different tuning strategy to keep fuel. They just use smaller jets and bigger power valve restrictions. So, but
You definitely have some options, that's for sure.
yeah.
We'll
But
get
first we need rods.
Yep.
We need the rods to show up.
those are on back. Well, they were on ready to ship, and then once he finally gave him his money and whatnot, they're on a drop ship actually.
Yeah, they don't actually carry them in stock, but oh well, they're bought. That's what I know. I paid for them. So this is what we got. We bought DSS pistons for this, 406, 1675 deck height or compression height, 4cc dome. Nothing wild.
But man, it is a really nice. You know what? I'll let you get that out.
My rusty hands.
Those are your girls.
Yeah.
You're a baby girls.
Chase bought the same pistons, just flat tops.
Flat tops and a hell of a lot less skirt to work with.
Yeah. So we got the X groove on there. You guys can do the reading on that. They seem to work for Chase. Hopefully they'll work for me. Are yours coated too?
No, they're just like that.
Okay.
Like just how that is, except a shorter skirt.
Yeah.
And I got
Got a little dome here.
I got a thicker ring here, I believe. Or no, it's about the same.
Yeah.
We'll get to that one later when I got to knock that one apart and check the bearings on it.
Yeah. Hoping now that it's zero deck, if we use the 040 gasket or 041, we'll end up right about 11-1 versus what we had before. Our pistons were, those are 5cc dumps, or a whole cc, which doesn't sound like much, but 1cc is quite a bit of compression, honestly.
You ask anybody, you ask anybody if they ever want to run 10-1 or 11-1, I think 10 times out of 10 they're probably going to say 11-1.
I'm always going to say 11-1. As much as I can get in there, honestly. You know what's crazy is these things, even with aluminum heads, like, oh, we're at 11-1, you know, you kind of get into the ragged edge, but it kind of depends on your intake valve closing point.
All in the can.
Dynamic.
Disregard the blower, by the way, sitting there. That's Chase not putting his shit away again.
He doesn't want you to think I'm putting a blower on my car.
Yep, we're gonna punish the shit out of you.
Maybe we could sell this water pump on YouTube. We were given this water pump. I would rather trade it than sell it, but it's for sale if somebody wants it. It's a big block Chevy, standard flow, I think.
I think so. Ouch. That damn
Google
header.
Lens have said it was a WP 101 or whatever.
They don't really fit.
Yeah.
It's a nice pump though. It works. So if anybody's needing one, hit us up. We got it on Facebook also, but you know, you've seen it here. God, overall, I think that's pretty much what the goal of the car is: street and strip, and see if we can get 780, 790 out of it on motor.
Something. Hope to get it running here soon, really. I want to get it running. I'm also getting married this year, so hopefully we can get my car done before then. At least to drive for that. So.
Gonna get it running all so you can sell it. Here comes the baby.
Nope. I don't sell stuff for babies.
I just work more overtime.
Yeah.
What a man.
Boy, math isn't how to cut my expenses, it's how to make more money.
That's the way people should look at it.
Yeah. Start selling their stuff.
Have a quick little look at the interior. We'll get into more in detail later on the interior and what the plan is, but pretty much all original, minus the custom sunroof. That is a godsending.
Pretty nice.
That is very, very nice. Old Ghost Flames. Check this girl out. Got a whole bunch of crap in the back. Don't worry about it. That's what used to be on it. Kind of scary. Yeah, just a little introduction video on this old girl, and like I said, we tend to go over the same thing over and over again on TikTok whenever new people come in, so we'll each video that we'll do, it'll be
we'll make the title of our TikTok live 327 basically anything, and we get all the older guys that come in. Everybody's asking what we're doing. What's the build? Hey, what's that car? Hey, what's that car? Well, that's a cool car. What's that car?
15 minutes later, oh cool, what is that? What type of motor is that?
Stripes. What stripes?
There ain't a single car in here with a stripe.
Yeah.
Closest thing we got is Ghost Flames.
Got Ghost Flames. It's called freaking Green Ghost Rider. Ghost Green Lantern.
Oh God, no. All right, I'm gonna leave you alone on that. I'm gonna put you on time lapse so they won't get bored to tears with you grinding that stuff off.
Yeah.
By the way, what color you plan on painting these things? Please tell me it's gonna be white.
I don't know.
Or no, orange.
Clear coat them, I guess. I don't know.
Oh God,
How
no.
do we get them clean? Really rusty, dusty.
I think at that point it's just good enough.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna bounce off there, and I'll show you what Riri over here is working on. So for brand new headers, all we normally do is just take clean lacquer thinner, wipe them down, and then give them a quick scuff with a Scotch-Brite pad, and then one final wipe down with clean lacquer thinner before we actually hit it with paint. For older headers like this, we have to go in with, you know, grinders and whatnot and Scotch-Brite and just try to get as much as we can off. That way, whenever it's time to paint them, give them 4 or 5 coats of paint, it'll actually stick and look like a brand new header. Try to get all the pores and whatnot out as best we can too. Alright, so I'm working on, this is a paying customer's job also. Right now I'm working on our fuel shutoff, which, quick little rundown on mechanical fuel injection. You got a handle inside with a PTO cable that turns the fuel on and off. I got this side done for the PTO cable. It hooks in here, comes up, yada yada yada. Might need to bring this in a little bit closer. It just kind of depends on how long that is on the cable. You can come in here. Of course, it's not mounted right now, but it'll be right next to a shifter. So when you pull it on and off, it'll turn the fuel on and off. So when he pulls it to him, it's off, and shoves it forward, it's on. So I didn't really make the mistake on accident. It was more on purpose. I left this tab off because I didn't know where exactly it was going to be at as far as cable wise. Oh, there goes the heater. Sorry about that. So, you have to forgive me, I'm doing this one-handed. Basically going to tack weld this. Damn. It's going to look like this. I already got the holes marked out where the bracket needs to be drilled on this small plate. And once I run a bead on both sides, you're not going to be able to tell that it was there. A little bit of grinding, back and forth, and we should be alright. So I'm going to set this up real quick and show you guys how to not MIG weld. Basically here I'm just going to clamp it down, that way the metal doesn't warp as much whenever I go to actually weld it. That way it stays pretty straight with the rest of the bracket. And here we have a professional grinder. Alright, as you can see, nothing to it. A little bit of grinding, never hurt anybody. That's either going to get mounted that way or that way. Kind of all depends on excuse me, how long the shaft is coming out. I'm going to get this hooked back up in the car. I'm sorry, I'm going to draw out the holes in this real quick and kind of get a couple of bolts in, just a rough fit, and then going to get it back in the car just to get a rough measurement so I can get a cable ordered. Alright, little 2 for 2 we got going on here, but I mean, they're like 70s old, so scary. They're like 1970s, 1980s headers, so they're not going to be perfect. It's pretty damn smooth. Before they get painted, they'll get wiped with clean lacquer thinner, and then probably 5 coats worth of paint on them. They'll look brand new, no pits or nothing. And I got the holes drilled and chamfered for this, so let me set you up real quick. Gotta forgive me on this one. So, sitting on the shifter, I'm gonna fumble this so hard. You can't have politics on, we're filming. Definitely getting shadow banned. Alright, so you have your shifter plate, your shifter mount bracket plate, and this goes on there, and the shifter goes on top of this right here. So you can kind of see it's off on an angle, that way the handle's off on an angle. And with this, it's a little bit off to the side of the handle, that way we can hook the heim up and it'd be nice and, you know, nice and everything tucked in. This isn't the right bolt or anything, so just letting you know that this is all just mocked together. Get it in the car real quick and show you just kind of how it operates from the driver's point of view. Don't mind me, just testing out the GoPro. It's gonna be doing our starting line stuff too while we're at the track and whatnot, or on the street. Take you were grinding on something.
What's that?
Take you were grinding on something.
Yeah.
Plus, we got to clean up all the tools and whatnot before we leave too.
Yeah.
Ooh-bah. I'll go into detail later. Obviously, there's a lot of laters. More of an in-depth breakdown on a barrel valve and all that. I did it on TikTok a couple of times on live. I'll do a more thorough one, probably just a designated video on how this works, so to speak. The heck you didn't? Oh, what's that do?
I don't know.
I'll definitely get the grime off. Cool. I'm gonna set this down and get that doohickey in the car. I'll be right back. Don't go anywhere, folks. Stay tuned. Right now, I'm just throwing some nuts and bolts on it and getting them as tight as I can by hand. That way, everything's mocked up so I can see if it's going to be comfortable to the driver. That way, it's easy accessible and making sure it's not going to get in the way from the shifter to the handle. Alright, so like I said, this is all just kind of tightened down and positioned roughly where it's going to be. Obviously I can make adjustments to this bracket if needed. I just need a rough idea what it was going to be. Oh. Climb on in here. Oh shit. Alright, so I'm not sitting up in the seat because the seat belts are digging into me, but sorry. So shifter, obviously, and then lean out. All the way in is going to be on, fuel on, and then pulling out will be fuel off. So not bad, pretty simple. I didn't want to butcher the dash or anything. I like to consolidate as much as I can within hand's reach without having to reach everywhere and every other place. Wooba, wooba. I'll go into a little bit more detail later on the other stuff that we've done to this car since it's been in here. Yeah, that's about it. That was the last thing I was waiting to do. And yes, I made sure that this could slip down in there and I'll have to rattle its ass off, even though you probably shouldn't be able to hear anything in this car regardless. Yep, that's about it. Did the whole funny car cage loop in it myself. Some help from a couple of friends here and there when I needed them. Mom. The wiring's the last thing we got to do on this, and let's see. All of it's some old school stuff. Pro control boxes and whatnot, FIE boxes, the MSD box for the two-step. Got to wire this thing head to toe, all the way down to the headlights. Yeah, she's coming along pretty good. Told Frank when it's time to pay the bill on this, he'll be able to get in, fire it up, and drive it up on the trailer himself instead of have to push it up in it. So that's still the goal. Oh, and Frank, if you're wondering, your radiator's up there. I had to get it out of the way so I can get your fuel shut-off stuff put on there. Again, the bolts that are on that, minus the ones that go into the pump. Everything's not final set on bolts. You okay there, buddy?
I farted.
You farted? Scary. Yeah, this is going to be a pretty cool machine when it's done. Big old fat tars. This one, a lot to say what's going on with it. Next video will cover the follies on it, but basically trying to get as much weight to the rear as I can, and one of them was that radiator had to go back there, so I figured why not, let's put the fuel cell dead center and make this thing more stronger. And yes, the car is leaning because that tire is flat. New set of slicks are obviously in the works, you know, whenever I can get to them. A couple of King of the 20 or 26.85 races I wouldn't mind trying with this. I think this would be the first Ritz blower car to actually do it. Whether it's good at it or not, we don't know, but we'll figure it out. This one's just going to be the piss off all the kids down at the usual, the mine road. We don't want to say roads out loud. That might get us in trouble later. Where all the hoodlums hang out. Now I've got a couple of $500 races with this car, so I'm tickled to be a part of it. I think we can BS a little bit in the truck on our way back and entertain some people as a post-credit thing. What do you think? Yeah. I think it's about all we've got time for tonight. Like I said, just want to give you guys a little quick little update on what all's going on here. I know you hear it over and over again on TikTok, but here we can actually officially say, you know, say something, and then people can just rewind it so they can, you know, hear it again. We'll go into more specs on this motor, on the 327 later. Also, we'll get into detail on everything. We won't leave you in the dark too much. It's going to be a pretty decent summer, I think. Hell, even spring. It's taken its ever-loving time to sprung, whatever, but and demonetized. There's like this thick cloud of nothing but rust wherever you're at.
Yeah, those are unlocked from everything.
Yes.
Just wipe that one down with soap and water.
I think I breathed half it in. Again, sorry about the mess everywhere, but every time I move something to clean it up, I feel like I'm just pushing it in the circles. It is getting a little bit better in here, though. I don't know why those are in there. Oh, amber. That's right. Yep, that's the whole shop. You got one more car that's not in here, a 69 Camaro. It's my dad's. We bring that one in and make it a no trailer drag and drive car, hopefully. You know, cruiser. This one I just gotta, I'm gonna do a whole 25.5 cert. God damn, I gotta clean those up. 25.5 style underneath and throw in a hell of a lot more bars in there if Mom's gonna be driving this big Gahona thing. Same thing with this. If I got some time, I'll start bracing underneath it, but I would really like to just cut the whole cage out and start fresh. You know, dockle everything. It's already chrome ollie as it is with some mild steel tubes here and there, but man, I would just love to, like I said, dockle, whatever it's called, the whole thing. But anyway, she passes tech for what it is still, so that's all I'm concerned about. Yeah, how about we get the hell out of here? Let's clean up a little bit and then we can scram, because that wind is starting to get kind of scary.
Yeah, we got a blizzard warning.
Great, even better.
We're supposed to get 1 to 2 inches of snow, but the 70-mile-an-hour winds is... I don't see any snow. The other scary thing is it rained all day, so...
Yeah.
It all turned into ice and you can see cold too quick.
Yeah. I gotta get those sandbags in the back of the two-wheel drive truck. Oh yeah, nice and colorful. Alright, I'm gonna pause this real quick and we're gonna get everything buttoned up.
You have your seatbelt on, Colin?
The seat does.
The seat has your seatbelt on? Mm-hmm. That's very safe. About as safe as backing up with lights on in the back. And everything is freaking black.
My truck's only got one reverse light.
Is that about sideswipe Mom's truck?
I did put that other bumper on my truck.
Nice. Whoa, what am I about? Small child?
I was tired of it looking so bad with that messed up bumper.
We'll take the...
And I replaced all the bolts. You should have seen how I got to the bumper bolts because I couldn't get to them with my impact.
Very careful.
With a grinder.
I just cut that bumper was so trash that
Cut
I
it
didn't
off.
care, so I just cut in the top of it so I could actually reach the bolts from the top.
That's a good rolling stop. Got a lot of those out here on the country. Well, what we wanted to talk about for closing thoughts on the way back to the homestead. By the way, if you guys can't see us, sorry. That seems kind of dangerous to do it that way. So
Yeah.
don't text and drive though. Helps if you have your high beams on too.
Yeah. Gotta figure out like what kind of converter. Like I know ish what I want for stall speed based on the cam time, but you know, should we go higher? You know, can I drive my car from here to Chillicothe with a 5,000 RPM converter on the back roads? You know what I mean? You know, should we go ahead and put a tranny temp gauge in it?
Wouldn't hurt.
You know, pay attention. I mean, that's what's going to kill everything besides hard parts breaking from shock. But, oh, look at that, snowflakes.
Snowflakes, rain.
You know, Chase, we had a whole good week of you know, nice weather, 50s and 60s. I went riding twice over the weekend, and you said something about, no, it's going to snow. And now look, now it's snowing.
It didn't snow when you rode though, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you're welcome. Some bitch.
But I tell you what, these nice days we've been having, I've really, like, damn, I wish I had my car right now. It'd be nice to go drive this thing right now.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I wanted to seal it all up, and that's all I wanted to do, by golly. And here we are rebuilding a whole frickin' motor.
And Chase is like, we got to bust out the Grumpy Jenkins book. We got to do everything.
Don't turn me loose. I'll make that bitch run fives in the
You know
air.
what's crazy is Bob was like, there's a ridge in the top of the block. We got to bore it. But if we would have decked it, that ridge would have been gone because it was above the piston.
While you're here.
Yeah.
Hey, at some point when you were talking to Bob, I just said, fuck it, let him take over.
Yeah.
What does he want to spend money on?
Yeah. Now, like, I'm still interested in the lifter board thing. I've been doing reading, and I feel like, you know, if you start, like, you'll have shaft rockers when you get moving where you're going, but, you know, like, you still got standard lifter size in yours, don't you? The 842s, or what do you got?
I don't remember the number off the top of my head.
904s or 937s?
904 rings a faint bell. I literally had the lifter card out the other day. Was going through all the bags. 300 long lifters for the dark block.
Yeah.
Remind me next time. I will definitely pull that out for curious people.
Yeah. And you know, I did a lot of reading, and I do that a lot. I do a lot of research, read about stuff, try to weigh pros and cons. Obviously, everything costs money. What's the best money to spend? So that's why I do the research. And obviously, we're both going into the real kind of high RPM territory.
You're gonna have to for that one.
Everybody, you know, all the TikTok kids are like, "Oh, I knew when I heard $7,000 or 7,000 RPMs and felt some boobies that I'd never be rich." You know, well, we're trying to go 8,000. You know.
Say that again for the comment section.
Can we get an F in the chat?
So as soon as I seen 7,000 RPM and touched some boobies, I was never gonna be rich.
Since I felt 7,000 RPMs and felt boobies, I knew I was never going to be rich.
Damn it! Always blame the titties.
I mean, I really think my motor's probably be done making steam, even with the big heads at 7,500, just based on cam profile. But if we ever decide to build something bigger, small block wise for that and them heads are still worth, the heads I want to buy are still worth selling in the end. The 327 is worth a lot more with them heads on it.
Oh yeah. It'd be worth way more than anything if it was actually numbers matching original 327 that wasn't completely butchered.
Yeah. It'll Might be worth something to somebody if we don't blow it up, but
So I guess the end goal him and I talked about was, if it has to be sold, let's sell it to somebody like Bracket Racer or something like that. Someone who is not going to be religiously harping on this thing every other weekend.
yeah, like we're going to. I plan on driving this thing to work on nice Fridays, probably every other Friday. And going to mess around in the streets, obviously, go to do some track events. You know, get it up to snuff for, you know, whatever time it runs, so that way we don't get kicked out. But it sure would be cool to get kicked out at least once.
You need a cage in that thing now. How many bars? Or race? Ask him, what's the minimum amount of bars? This thing's already heavy as it is.
Yeah.
It'd be cool to get away with just a 4-point cage. Call it good there if needed. They're probably going to hit us for 6 4-door bars.
Yeah.
Which, fine, you know, they can be done. We can make it fit you and fit the door, so you can still use like your the door handle, the armrest, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
What you pull on.
For now, I want to keep the back seat in there too, so that's part of the kids thing.
That part we can. You got to try to picture it like this. You have your main loop that goes around. I can have the down ones, hug the roof, and then go down the contour of the glass, and then straight down.
Yeah.
And then I can have a bar loop around and tie both those bars together and go around like the back part of your where the windows are at, the side windows.
Yeah.
And that way, not only can they still get in, but it also, you know, meets their criteria.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the back of mine, kind of like that, but obviously nicer. But we'll get there when we get there. Let's not start throwing tubing in there. I don't know what the hell it's going to run right off the bat. The fucker weighs 4,000 pounds.
Yeah.
This is legit sleek now.
Yeah.
Like completely white.
Something smells like shit.
Not me. As far as cam wise, just to reiterate for everybody, what was you planning on wanting to do? Hydraulic or solid roller?
Putting a solid flat tire back in.
Tried and true.
Yeah, it was working before. We just didn't rev it high enough.
Oh, it's the other thing you got to do. When we get rotating assembly in, we can actually mock up the cam and check what the hell the valve events are. That way we don't have to keep on guessing it. You know, try to figure out what the cam is, you know, off old cards that might be wrong.
For the people watching this, the camshaft in my car is an old Crane SS-350-B-NC, and I found some old like cam catalog from Crane from like 1976 or so, and their listed valve events I think are from seat to seat, so like 0.001 to 0.001. So obviously when we're comparing flat tappet cams or even solid cams for that matter, you know, they usually go off of 20 thousandths or so lift, because your lash is usually about that much anyway. But it was some crazy numbers and it didn't add up for, you know, it gave us dynamic compression of like 4 to 1, which is, you know, it said we had 136 degrees of overlap, which it might have that. I doubt it, but it's astronomical for something that's supposed to have 111 degree low separation.
Speak up just a hair. I don't know how good that microphone is anymore in that thing.
I need something to spit it.
Yeah. That'll work.
I did find a updated. Sorry. I did some reading on some of the cam stuff, and that was old Crane's old numbering system, I guess. They changed their catalogs and all their advertised cam specs, and some of the cams they stayed the same even up until they sold or quit or shut their doors or whatever. And I found some similar cams, and if they degree out the same as this old one does, then cool. We got a known, you know, what it is, what it should do, and what they listed it to be used as. One of the camshafts I found that's extremely similar, you know, is listed as large manifold, large nitrous system, or a good blower cam for something with 8-to-1 compression would be good for 20 pounds of boost. So,
Ironically,
and if
the
it
other
is,
hood already has a hole cut in it for a blower.
yeah. You said something about it was a smaller blower, and I got to looking at it the other day, and I was like, I don't know, that looks about, I mean, seeing the one that's on the bench and stuff, I'm like, doesn't look that far off.
Well, the only thing that threw me on a loop was like how far forward they had it cut for the snout, which kind of made me wonder if it was a small one.
Yeah, oh, because they had a longer snout on it.
Yeah, because like the 471s, I think the shortest one they have is a 6-inch snout,
Yeah.
because it has to make it all the way to the V-belts,
Yeah.
which would kind of make sense from back in the day, but then again, I don't remember how old those like YN 177s or the 471.
144s, all that shit. Or that's
Yeah.
B&M.
So, I guess next time you're around the hood, get a rough measurement, not the snout part that sticks out, but just the hole itself for the blower. Maybe I can grab a measurement off the 671 on the bench and see if it matches up.
Yeah. I would love to know more history on like what the car was at one point in time, you know. Why do we have a hood that's cut out for a blower? Was it on the Pontiac motor, or was it on, you know,
It's more
another
little
327? Was it on that 327? You know? Did he just find another hood for it, sold the blower, put that intake on because it fit under a stock looking hood? You
Does
know?
this explain why most of the bearings were beating the shit out of them too?
Yeah. Well, that was probably because he had the wrong bolts on
On the rods?
the mains.
Oh yeah, those were just bad.
Yeah.
What do you mean the cap almost just fell off?
Yeah. So, but I mean, E85 is always an option too. Put this to it.
Hell, if you don't want to drive up to E80, drive over to get E85, you're literally right down the street from an airport right now.
Yeah.
We got to touch on that later also, avgas.
Yeah. Yeah.
Avgas has its place. If you get the right carburetor seals, you really won't have any issues with it. Tune's just as easy as, I guess, probably good. I mean, between the 110 that I ran for a while and the avgas, because we were cheap, you really didn't have to do any adjustments at all.
Yeah.
Drop it in and go, and it ran the same numbers. So whatever the hell octane it was at the time was, I think in Brewsterville at that time they were advertising like 101 or 102.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, better than pump gas in 87.
Yeah. I think those heads I want with a tunnel ram with a single carb on it with its blow through with like a turbocharger would be freaking sweet. But I'm poor, so
How come you'd want to do a tall ass tunnel ram, set up for 2 carburetors, but only have 1 carburetor on it?
because of that boost.
Just want to have more pressure down in the manifold, or have more stored pressure or something like that? Well, what would be the pro to that versus running like a single plane tall like strip dominator or something like that, or Victor Jr.?
The tunnel ram's great because you get more length in your runners and obviously more plenum volume. Plus, with its onward boost, carburetors kind of work similar to an intercooler because of the pressure drop in the fuel. Like as the fuel's atomizing, and you know, like when you spray brake cleaner, why is it always cold?
It's under pressure.
Yeah, it's under pressure. There's pressure drop when it reaches atmosphere, so the carburetor does that with boost on it. It works as an intercooler. And the longer runner, you get more atomized fuel. More torque.
I guess I would get in my own lane. I need to ask Bummy where he got those little clip-on puffball microphones.
Oh yeah.
let's drop $600 on one GoPro camera because, you know, this was a good financial decision.
I want to go out to the races, and I guess my goal is obviously beat the G8s with the cams in them and whatever. Not a big deal. They all got like 273 gears in them and a 6-speed.
You have a $500 race locked in with one of them right now.
I do. I've seen him race other guys. I've smoked him on the 4-wheeler. And for people watching this, I like to drag race 4-wheelers, Jeeps, whatever. But I beat this G8 with my 4-wheeler, and he came over. We were drinking one night, and he's a betting man. And I pulled my car out of the garage. It wasn't running right, HEI problems, but it was running. I drove it up to our little fire pit, and he said, that thing sounds slow. And I said, man, you're a betting man, so how slow is it? He said, $500, you won't gap me. And I said, right now, or can we do this next spring? And he said, oh, we can do it next spring. I'm like, alrighty, here we are, building a motor to gap an LS.
Small block Chevy is better than LS, or I forgot how we had that wrote down.
Yeah.
Small block Chevy over LS. It's already too late. I look like a square now.
Yeah.
Didn't have to agree on that, damn it.
We're just building a basic 327 with some couple of good parts. Block's probably our weak point.
Basic.
Not as weak as a 302, but I would hope we could get 600-700 out of it on nitrous.
That'd be tits.
Yeah.
Even I'd be surprised, like, God damn, Dad's gonna be so happy.
Yeah.
He'd be so proud.
What else?
No, we're not cutting up the car.
I don't want to cut it up. I want to, hey, baby, you want to go for a ride? She hops in the passenger seat. We go get ice cream or something. Go to the movies. Whatever.
Ask her and get rejected about testing out the back seat.
All the LS guys be like, oh, you got a solid electric camshaft. You can't drive that on the street.
Yeah.
Like they didn't come with solid electric camshafts back in the 50s and 60s and 40s. And, I mean, when did the hydraulic lifter first come out? You know what I mean? My traction control. Well, they didn't have that back then.
I mean, they did. It was called the driver in his right foot.
Yeah, common sense.
Oh, wow. You can't say that.
Yeah. Backup plan, if the 327 spreads its guts all over the road, I bought a 6-liter from our buddy Skyler for really cheap.
Really cheap.
It'll probably need a little bit of machine work for me to be happy. We got some Gen 4 rods for it. I'll order some pistons. We got a stock, Gen 3 crank for it. Get it all balanced, and then I'll just sloppy mechanics that thing together and spray the dog guts out of it until it blows up and find something else.
Keep in mind that the shop that he was just in, he keeps saying that it's like lab coat scientist,
I call it doctor's office builds.
It's like,
versus-
have you seen this floor in here?
I've got a fucking 10-2 tall deck 427 hanging from a fucking tree in my backyard.
I'll spray this bitch out with a garden hose and spin it over and see if it breaks loose.
Yeah. Give me a starter. We'll free this thing up. But it's locked up, but not from sitting outside. It was locked up just from sitting, period. Sitting in a C60.
Now it's just
Tree
sitting
truck.
now it's just sitting in a different location.
Yeah. I tried to break it loose, sprayed all the plug holes with WD, but those tall deck 427s and the industrial applications, the big ones like that, they had 4 piston rings. It didn't just have 3. So the piston's like, you guys probably can't see me right now, but it's like 4 to 5 inches fucking long. It's huge. Plan is for that is to build like a 489 or 496, 505, 502, and use a long rod with it so we can keep cylinder pressure, side load off of it, I guess. Last a little longer. But the challenge with that is getting good flowing heads for it that don't have a raised exhaust port, so we can still use conventional headers NRA body.
Hopefully by then they'll have enough money to have a race car that's not this one.
Yeah. I mean, it did cross my mind the other day. Like, I was looking at Dart Big M2 blocks that make an aluminum one that's like 4.6 bore, 4.6 inch bore. You can build a, and you can buy them in standard deck height too. You just get the shorter rod, but you know, what's it matter how long the rod is if you got 570 cubic inches? You know what I mean?
I bought the cubic inch to compensate for the rod, dang it.
Yeah. So.
Oh, did I guess this right?
I could get the, yeah, you're doing all right.
Nice.
They also make it a tall deck, and it costs just as much as a short deck, but we're still running into the limitations of the headers. I'm sure Lemons could make us some,
Well, they definitely can.
but
How much do you want to pay?
it still doesn't sound that fun to service. I'm all about being able to work on it.
Well, here's the thing with Lemons.
Don't want to have to drop the headers to get the starter off.
2 rods on the outside, or 2 rods, yeah, 2, that's bad. 2 pipes on the outside and 2 pipes on the inside of the frame rail.
Yeah.
There's actually a lot of room to get the starter out from underneath it.
Yeah. Some new bumper.
It's the shiniest thing on there.
Yeah. I was gonna take some paint and paint the Chevrolet back in on the tailgate.
That'd be pretty tight. That would be nice.
Make it look good again.
He's getting ready to get out, so I'm gonna cut you off. Thank you guys for being with us. Maybe we can. Thank you guys for being with us. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments. We'll get to them when we can. Obviously, it'll probably be 5 minutes after I see the notification. So, like, comment, subscribe,
Ring the bell.
ring that bell to get notified. And I say this is mostly what we do almost every other day. Try to keep up what we can. And when it gets time to actually do some racing and testing and whatnot, you're going to see hopefully some better quality content.
Yeah.
So, rock on. I don't know what he does, so yeah. And we'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.